India have made what many would consider the perfect start to a home World Cup or to any World Cup for that matter. They had a match against Sri Lanka, and whilst everyone was expecting them to win the match, it is quite one thing expecting someone to win the match and then, of course, seeing the team actually go on to win the match. But that's exactly what's happened. 59 runs via the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method. Remember, there were a couple of major rain interruptions in the first innings. Thankfully, nothing there after in Guwahati, and India can celebrate what was, in the end, I'd say a fairly comfortable victory. Didn't really seem in much doubt.
That's right. However, you use the word perfect, Shane, to describe.
I meant only the result. I'm not talking about the performance. We'll get to that.
Yeah. So the perfect result it is. Yes, in case you said that's rightly said. Then it's the perfect result. However, with not the perfect way, no. I would say. Far off that, in fact, True. I would say how this Indian team fared in the first match against Sri Lanka, a team that they've historically had a very, very good record against. But I must say, for a brief while, as we watched that first innings, India were in a spot of bother. You needed a partnership from the tail enders. In fact, a big fat one that you got from Deepti, and I think it was
Amanjot, yeah.
who partnered with her, 50 plus runs for both of those. In fact, in case of Amanjot, it's her it's her highest individual score, that of 57. So you needed that to save the day for India. They were very good with the ball, though. I don't have a lot of complaints with how India fared with the ball. However, with the bat, there was a lot more that they left to be desired.
I mean, you see, it doesn't help that two of your best performers, or actually, when you look at it, three of your best performers actually didn't contribute much to the scores. Smriti Mandhana, 8. Jemimah Rodriguez, 0. Richa Ghosh, 2. I mean, that's not even counting, Harmanpreet Kaur having a relatively off day. Pratika also had a start. Same with Harleen. Couldn't convert them into bigger scores. You just needed one bigger score from there and you were well beyond the 300 mark. But because you lost early wickets and because you had a mini collapse, remember, it was Inoka Ranavira who got rid of Harmanpreet and Jemimah of successive balls that required you to really rebuild. And that's when Deepti and Amanjot kind of really got into it. In fact, even Richa Ghosh went relatively quickly. She went in the very next over. So it required a major rebuild, 103-run partnership from Amanjot and Deepti, which really took things apart. Big shout out, by the way, to Deepti. Good all-round performance. Got a 50. And with the ball also, she got, 3 or 4 wickets?
Last I checked was 3.
So it was a good showing from her really all around. See, 3 wickets. So not only India's best batter, arguably even the best bowler by some distance. A very, very good showing from her in that regard. And the tactic really, you'd say, of India to go with 3 spinners paid off. And it was a big gamble because they dropped Renuka Singh Thakur to the bench. I kept thinking, I'm like, if this tactic doesn't work, then there's going to be a lot of people asking why Renuka didn't play. Of course, it did. That means now that, by the way, that India, in their last 7 matches against Sri Lanka, have won on 6 occasions. So it's really one-sided. That's why I said it's actually the best start India could have asked for. Sort of a gimme game. For Sri Lanka, it is a bit of a write-off because after this 6 matches now, I think, or 5 matches they have to play in Sri Lanka if they are to have any hopes of qualifying for the semis, which are, of course, 50-50 considering the quality.
That's right. And why this was very important for this Indian team, because I was just looking at the fixture list for them. Of course, all teams will play 7 matches. 1 for India is done away with. And why they needed this win was because starting game number 3, right up till gate number 6, you've got a very, very tricky run. You play South Africa, England, Australia, New Zealand, all in that period.
The Senas.
And which is why you needed this win. Firstly, you're playing at home, remember, and for you to be able to get into the groove, to be able to settle the nerves, which I'm sure were jangling today because some of those dismissals were very tepid, very uninspiring, uncalled for as well. Harleen Deol as well did well to get herself set, got to 48 but ultimately got out in a manner that she wouldn't be very happy with. A very soft dismissal. Ultimately the dismissal of Jemimah also was very, very soft also. One thing you would say is perhaps she got one of the best deliveries.
Yeah, I think that was Ranavira's best ball arguably.
But Do I expect Jemmy to play that? Because there was only a hint of turn. I think I do, given the fact that she's no longer a junior member of the team. In terms of stature, I think she's played enough, and she's been an occupant in that dressing room for a long time now.
Correct.
For you to expect a lot of things from Jemmy Rodriguez in this entire tournament. So that was that as far as India's performance is concerned. But while we've talked about how they were deficient with the bat in some ways, must give credit for the fact that when your usual suspects in Smriti, in Jemmy, in Harleen still got you 48.
Richa Ghosh, really.
But Richa Ghosh, when these guys didn't step up, also I think I missed one name over there of Harmanpreet, because 21, again you expect her to get more runs for you. When your usual suspects in these customers don't get you runs, it was good that somehow you got contributions from us, especially you got that big fat lower order contribution that took your score to a very competitive. In fact, not just against Sri Lanka, I think against most teams, anything around this mark is going to be very competitive. And today's pitch, as we saw later on, there was some turn to offer for the Indian bowlers as well, and they also realized after a point that going with slow spin is going to be the trick. Though Deepti was very, very good in terms of getting her variations right. You saw her give the ball some flight. You saw her push a couple of deliveries as well through the batters. So that was good on her part. But she had such a beautiful day, as we just touched upon as well.
I mean, even you're talking about the lower order. Even Sneh Rana's cameo, 28 of 15, is the kind of knock that wouldn't look out of place in a T20. And striking it at over 186. It's very, very good, and did add some much needed runs, because at that point I was thinking, I'm like, you lose a couple of wickets when Deepti and Amanjot were batting, and you're into the tail. Then you're into the Kranti Gaurs and Sri Charanis, neither of whom are batters. And so at that point, I'm thinking, when they went, I'm like, okay, if you can get to 250, the fact that you got to nearly 270 as a target, very, very good. But the bowling performance, as you say, close to being flawless, as close to flawless as possible. Very, very good bowling. And actually, that's the thing with India. Their bowling doesn't really always concern me. And in fact, if you're looking at it, this is without one of your best new ball bowlers in Renuka Singh Thakur that you've managed to absolutely kind of get them bundled out very cheaply. 211. You've got a big 59-run win to start the tournament. Gives you a net run rate, a healthy boost. Of course, the next match coming up, a rivalry in name only. That's not me talking, that's Surya Kumar Yadav talking, because it is against Pakistan. And if you think India are dominant over the men's team, dear God, it is so much better against them in the women's side of things. It's not even a contest. So that should be another match. They should target maximum runs. If they can get maximum points in that one as well, it should be a very good start, because after that, as Harshit rightly points out, they've got 4 tough matches coming up, and you'd expect that they drop points in certain matches. The first 2 games, though, very much matches which they need to take maximum points from, stay in the hunt for making the semis.
Also, quick trivia, because we were doing all the stat hunting earlier in the day. India's next match is against Pakistan. That match will take place on Sunday. Also, will mark the 4th successive Sunday of you getting India-Pakistan clashes. Although this one is in the women's format. However, it's India-Pakistan at the end of the day. Quick trivia, though, that wasn't the fun part. Fun part, you've never lost to Pakistan in ODI cricket. 11-0. That's right, as Shivam points out as well. 11-zip. That's the kind of domination India have had in ODI cricket over Pakistan, and it just sounds very familiar, right? Domination
sounds very
over
familiar.
Pakistan.
7-0, 8-0, all those nils, now 11-0, could make it 12-0. I mean, my God, it'll be like the double bagel final, 6-0, 6-0, 12-0. That's what we'll be getting against Pakistan potentially. And truth be told, look, India start the clear favourites in that match. They're very, very strong.
I'm not even considering the fact that India have looked the better team going into the competition when I compare the two teams, but just historically, I think this is just too much of a historical burden. And Pakistan cricket, they've done little, be it men's cricket or women's cricket in recent times to inspire any sort of confidence.
Agreed. And see, also worth noting, by the way, this will be the only game that India don't play in India. It will take place in Colombo due to, of course, the hybrid model agreement that the ICC and has with, the PCB and the BCCI. So any India-Pak game will not be taking place in the host nation, assuming, of course, the host nation is India or Pakistan. So obviously, in this case, with India being the host, the matches aren't going to be held there. And that is pretty much the way it's going to be. It's not much to discuss about this performance really, because I think it was an expected result. It was in fact an expected result. I think Sri Lanka winning would have been a massive upset, because again, this team, the amount of talent they have, really Chamari Atapattu is probably the one batter who really inspires some confidence. Other than that, I don't look at a lot of them and say, okay, that this one is going to get me in some trouble
till the time, because see, they made a decent start, I would say. They were 40 odd, I think, for the loss of just one wicket, until the time Chamari Atapattu was there, and she was playing very well. In fact, if I'm not wrong, it's that delivery I was talking about being pushed through.
Deepti.
Deepti was very, very smart in pushing that delivery through the set batter, and it looked like that wicket came exactly at the opportune moment, because anything later would have meant more nerves in the Indian camp.
Agreed. Because once you got Chamari, you knew that was pretty much the match sorted. In fact, I was reading somewhere that Chamari Atapattu, the amount of games she's played for Sri Lanka, she has been the top scorer for Sri Lanka once every 3 games on average. That is crazy amount of over-dependence on any player when you look at it. And actually does tell you how deep the woes run for this side. Because again, I don't think they bowled terribly. In fact, they did very well to get through the Indian top order, which, is a bit of a concerning sign, because there's some good batters there. But the batting were never going to chase down 269. That was probably never on the cards.
You knew you had the cushion the moment you crossed the 250 mark, in fact, because 150 looked difficult at one point. You were 120 for 1, then you were reduced to 125 for 5 or 6, was it?
It was 5, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how bad that downturn or the downward spiral was for India. But then we spoke about that mammoth partnership between Deepti and Amanjot that gave India that huge push. And once you got to that kind of a total, you knew this is going to be easy peasy with the ball. And like we said, clinical with the ball, not so perfect with the bat. Of course, that is something you would look to fix in the match that you play next. And what better match than to do that when you play your arch nemesis in Pakistan?
Absolutely. Let's, by the way, take a look at...
First question of mine.
Shivam says first question.
So, never mind you guys. Shivam is going to ask our first question.
After the match, will Harman come and said after 12-0, will she said it's not a rivalry.
So our producer Shivam is asking if Harmanpreet, after making it 12-0 versus Pakistan, will say, you know what, guys, this is not a rivalry. I sure hope she does, because it's not a rivalry. Remember, those 12 matches which we're talking about, by the way, are not just matches in World Cups. That is women's ODI history. India have only played Pakistan on 12 occasions, and they have
11.
Yeah, 11. They played them on 11 occasions, and they have yet to win a single game. So that is like, never having beaten them in history. It's that levels. So we've got, let's see, Venkatesh BS says the perfect start from the Indian women team. I'm sure he too means result-wise.
He too means the perfect start.
Yeah.
The perfect result, but not the perfect way that you got.
Yeah, and he says best of luck for the next match. Priyanshu says, I think this is a good sign that Smriti, Harman, Jemima, Richard didn't fire. Still, we scored 270. Sneh Rana, current form is quite good. And first time our women's lower middle order looks. I agree. That's a very good point, because normally, the Indian women's team reminds me of the Indians men's team circa 2017-19. They were very top heavy, very reliant on the top 3-4. This time, though, most of your firepower hitters didn't really get runs, and you still managed 270. Impressive.
I think this is something we pointed out earlier in the discussion as well. No Smriti scoring runs, no Richa scoring runs. Usual suspects not there amongst the highest run getters, but you still managed to get to 270.
Yeah,
that's a good sign.
Yeah. Web of Chimalgi asks, will the women's team shake hands? No. Not a chance.
I doubt.
There is no way. That's not happening. Ashish Andle asked that why was Radha benched instead of Sri Charan? Radha's a good bat, also a gun fielder. Also, how do you see India going with only 5 proper bowlers? Deepti's strike rate is still a concern. I think Deepti's strike rate for ODIs is fine for me. I don't really mind it, because she does have the ability to get valuable lower order runs. As for the tactical things, look, I don't think they had 5 bowlers for one. They had 6 bowlers who bowled in this match.
Yeah.
And remember, there will be Radha, of course, yeah, bit of a concern, but you do also have a Renuka Singh Thakur on the bench. So I do think that, they'll be okay
King
bowling
says
wise.
that the World Cup opener should have either been in Mumbai or in Bangalore. You would have been able to attract better crowds.
Yeah, I do tend to agree. I mean, Guwahati also had a bit of rain. That didn't help matters. Although, yeah, you're right. It was an empty stadium. Even the performances didn't seem to get much energy because, quite frankly, there was no crowd to get any energy from. Priyanshu, by the way, says this is year 2025, which is the year of first. Fingers crossed, nothing more to add. I hope he doesn't mean 11-1 is loading.
And that'll be Nelson, which is something I don't like.
Oh, no. Poor David Shepherd. Anyhow, we will take your leave. It's been that sort of a day. Plenty of videos up on Sports Today on a lot of things. So, guys, go ahead, check those videos out as well. I dare say you may be a little more entertained by those than you were this match at times because it was a little bit on the boring side, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and that rain interruption just didn't help.
Yeah,
But anyhow,
in the beginning of the match.
Yeah, that too a long one, 1 hour lost. Yeah, just took the fun away. But anyhow, this match may have just not given the kind of impetus that we wanted. But be rest assured, Sunday is a big game.
That
You'll
match
also
should
have
be
the test
plenty of
match
impetus.
begin by then. Hopefully, all of that comes together and makes for greater entertainment. But for now, we will take your leave. It's been a long day for the two of us and for Shivam, who's dying to go out of the studio. So we will leave you over here. And yeah, do check out some of the other stuff, as Shane also pointed out. Subscribe as well. We will see you tomorrow. Enjoy.
Do you know why I'm dying to go out?
Because he's freezing.
After 6 minutes, there is something special.
Acha.
Related no, sorry.
Thank you. Anyhow, we'll take your leave.
And this is your birthday, na?
Yeah. Yeah, so we just need to get a little celebration underway as well.
That's Harshit's birthday, so we have like a day's difference. It's very weird. And of course, the biggest beneficiary or non-beneficiary, Mr. Vishwanathan. That's an inside joke.
Anyway, guys, we'll take your leave. Bye-bye. Good night, Nandri, Shubhratri, Shabba Khair. Eat your vegetables and do not trouble your mother.
Bye.
Bye-bye.